So I have the privilege to introduce someone I had a creative writing workshop with to teach creative writing, Lindsay. In our time of stories that break down to formula, it's refreshing to encounter a narrative voice that truly dares. Lindsay Lease is a writer who shocks, awes, incites, and questions with a grace and severity that is not only truly rare, but truly novel, but imperative. Please welcome Lindsay Lease.
Yes, arrow, Anna. All right. Okay, so I'd like to begin by saying that I feel really fortunate to have spent my time at CCA because there's no other place where aspiring writers, lovers of language, experimenters of form, can come together and be as nerdy and impassioned about writing as an MFA program. The real world doesn't understand us. We are weirdos and outcasts. We study sentences and plunge into our subconscious for raw material to reveal self-truths. We deal with trauma and tragedy, politics and identity. And I feel so proud to be up here among other writers who are fearless in ways that don't feel brave, but rather authentic. Thank you to my mentors and my wonderful workshops, because without their help, what I'm about to share may have shocked, but I'm hoping it also awes. I'll be reading the opening of my thesis, The Willing, a dystopia set in Ovoidia, a place where every woman over the age of 16 has to have sex with any man who approaches them. This sacrifice creates a war and crime-free environment, and all women have lost the ability to experience sexual feeling, except for 15-year-old Gypsy Capone. Gypsy. 3 shrills blasted through the hidden speakers in the shiny ceiling tiles. A warning. 5 minutes later, another 3 shrills would announce that butts better be in chairs. Gypsy took her seat in the front row of the dark, stifling auditorium for her life science class. Due to the heat between the hours of 11 and 3 in the afternoon, the lights and air conditioning were turned off in the communities. Stagnant air lingered near an open oval window. Gypsy readjusted her denim shift smooth against her bare legs. The heat had only gotten worse that year. The whole country sizzled like a frying pan on a burner without a high point. Gypsy slid her right hand under her desk and stroked the round screws. She was in year 10 of transition school, her second to last year, but she had stopped paying attention when the madams began the boring task of preparing the girls for life as women in the communities. Life science involved learning domestic life hacks and mothering skills. Next to the whiteboard, a laminated poster of the head Gaji family tree depicted the original Gajis, 6 desultory faces with deep creases around their rage-filled eyes. As the generations progressed, the head Gajis began to look more their age, skin less ravaged, eyes less resentful. The current heads, with the open-ended parentheticals under their busts, were on the bottom row laughing, mouths splayed, and lips the shiniest shade of red. Above the poster, Gypsy noticed several new banners on the wall. The head Gajis didn't normally use cuss words to empower the women of Ovoidia. Put peace between your legs. A kinder, safer country, thanks to our cunts. Sex. Just say yes. Sweat moistened Gypsy's palms. She rubbed her hands down her chest to dry them off. Her boobs weren't the biggest in the class. They were close, though. She came from a big boob family. Grandma Goima's cleavage was a sight to behold, but most of the time, Gypsy wished Goima would just put him away. Gypsy's bust made her hips appear narrow and out of proportion with her legs, which were thin, undefined, and in need of a tan. A handful of glossy brochures circulated around the room. Gypsy turned the shiny pamphlet over in her hands and sighed at the cover image of her house. Well, not her house specifically, but rather a standard community's home. The drone's angle offered a bird's eye view of a headless snowman, and Gypsy imagined it melting into a staircase ribcage. The brochure was titled, "Welcome to the Communities Living the Ovoidian Dream." It wrinkled in Gypsy's grip. Madame Adele stood in front of the room. Her denim shift hung below her knees. She wore thick cotton socks pulled up below the hem of her shift, revealing a hedgehog strip of black leg hairs. Madame Adele dressed as though actively engaged in repelling men, the anti-gaji. Gypsy wondered how well her efforts worked. Then she glanced at all the spoffs around her with their stoic expressions, pursed lips and suspicious eyes, practically carbon copies of Madame Adele's perennial sour face. As far as she knew, Madame Adele only had one daughter, Vegas, who had just turned 16 and gone straight to the city for higher education, a career, or if that failed, a baby. Gypsy tried to drown out Madame Adele's diligent explanation of the brochure for the new homes that would be available next year, when the girls in the class would make the transition into women and then mothers. The other girls ogled at the glossy images. They were holding their future in their hands, and it was the first time that anyone had seen the upgrades. Previous upgrades had included a massage chair and pinball machine. The most recent came with a tanning bed. Goima wasn't pleased. She missed out on that one. Gypsy raised her hand, but Madame Adele wasn't looking her direction. "What about if I want to live by myself?" she asked after Madame Adele had paused for questions. The class giggled. "Communities' homes are reserved for women with children. You know this, Gypsy." Madame Adele looked over her shoulder, unamused. "If you want to live alone, there's always the city. I'm sure that the new head gajis have made it much nicer for all the new women they're expecting." That's not fair, though. "What if I can't get pregnant? There could be something wrong with my uterus. I don't know yet. And then I'll never be allowed a home in the communities? I'm just supposed to live in the city forever?" "Come now, Gypsy." Madame Adele wiped the sweat from her upper lip. "The chances of that happening are very slim. Ovoidian women are extremely fertile." She relaxed her shoulders. "But if that is the case, the city does provide housing for women, including barren women. There's really no need to be paranoid, though. I'm sure things won't resort to that. You'll have ample opportunities to get pregnant, and in most cases, it occurs much quicker than you intend." Gypsy wasn't concerned that getting pregnant was going to be a challenge. The communities were filled with young mothers, most with harp-shaped cheekbones and buttery skin, holding two babies on their narrow hips. She had entered the last year of her childhood and began to wonder how mature those girls really felt the first time they were approached. Then she thought of Sadie, and Madame Adele's voice faded to mute. On Monday, her older sister would turn 16 and become a woman. The blood in Gypsy's ears pulsed with each heavy pound of her heart. In Ovoidia, the day a girl transitions into a woman, she travels to the city alone for the first time. It wasn't ceremonious. Girls transitioned into their purpose every day, but Sadie wasn't just visiting the city. She was one of the new women moving there, And even though Gypsy wasn't supposed to be worried, she kept coming back to an image that made her stomach sick. A white town car, the driver pulling Sadie down a dark alley, a lifted shift, cold marble. She hadn't noticed her reverie until Madame Adele slapped a brochure against her palm and finished her lesson, as always, with the admonition, a woman's body is her most trivial sacrifice. You can love anyone as long as you serve your country. Thank you.